Following Donald Trump's indictment on Tuesday, for some reason, the producers at Newsmax thought, you know what would be a good idea? Let's get Kari Lake on the air with Eric Bolling to discuss the Trump indictments. Two people who are not lawyers and have no legal experience at all. Let's have them talk to one another about Donald Trump being indicted. And as per usual, Kari Lake did not disappoint in the level of stupidity that she presented on television, because Kari Lake says that this new indictment just furthers the need for all of the other Republicans to get out of the race and get behind Donald Trump. Let me read you this exchange. Eric Bolling says, "Why are they putting out another fake indictment the day after a crooked Joe Biden scandal? One of the biggest Americans in American history broke out in the halls of Congress, a nation in decline. Kari, final thought." Now, before I get to Kari's final thought, let me just explain something to you, Eric Bolling, about sentence structure. That had none. Like, what does this even mean? Like, they put out another fake indictment the day after a crooked Joe Biden scandal, one of the biggest Americans in American history broke out in the halls of Congress. What is, like, you've got so many different thoughts in one sentence. I can't even make sense of it. So you're asking Kari, like, final thoughts on my word salad vomit diarrhea. Like, the fact that anybody could even respond to that is remarkable, but Kari Lake didn't disappoint. Absolutely. I love how she has to start with like absolutely. And she goes in with, we are a nation in trouble right now. And I think the people see it very clearly what's going on. And you know, they can keep doing this to President Trump. I believe his poll numbers will continue to go up. I really believe that those other people running in the Republican race should stand up, speak out in support of President Trump, talk about how this is an injustice unlike we've ever seen with our Department of Justice going after an innocent man. And frankly, they should suspend their campaigns and step behind and support President Trump and the American people so we can save this great country. Eric Bolling responded, "Yep, I think even some liberals might even agree with you." I'll tell you what, I do. I 100% agree with Kari Lake in this situation. Everybody else running for president on the Republican side should drop out of the race right now. Not even suspend their campaigns, drop out effectively. Not only drop out, also pledge to never run for president again. Put all your support behind Donald Trump, give him all the money you have raised, and make sure he is your Republican candidate for 2024. I 100% endorse that idea. Because Trump is the easiest Republican to beat out of that whole crop. A crop that actually includes people whose names I've already forgotten. Trump is the easiest to beat. I don't give a crap what the one New York Times poll said this week. It's garbage. Kari Lake, however, didn't explain why that makes sense. Because let's look at it from a purely logistic standpoint. Obviously, I want Trump to be the only nominee because he's the easiest to beat. And no, I'm not repeating the mistakes of 2016. Dude's going to have multiple felony convictions by this point next year. He's easy to beat. Here's why it doesn't make sense for Kari Lake to say that. She's seen the polls that I've seen. Now, I'm assuming she's choosing to not believe them, but the polls showed that a majority of people in this country believe Donald Trump broke the law. Those polls are going to get worse after the new indictment because the last ones we saw that already had a majority were before this indictment. They were before last Thursday's indictment. So yeah, Trump is in trouble nationally. He's not in trouble with the Republican Party at all. But y'all got to remember, y'all only make up 30% of the U.S. population. You don't win an election with a small part of 30% of the population, okay? So why should everybody else drop out instead of the one guy that's now been indicted 3.5 times, right? That doesn't make sense. Like, if you cared about the Republican Party, instead of it being a cult of personality, you would call for the indicted guy to drop out. So that way the other candidates who are not facing criminal charges could rise to the top. But instead, you're asking all the also-rans to drop out and endorse the guy that's probably going to have a couple felonies by then. That makes no sense. But it makes perfect sense when you realize that it's coming from Kari Lake, and the only thing that makes sense about Kari Lake is that nothing makes sense about Kari Lake. And there you have it.
Ring of Fire has fresh content 7 days a week, so if you want to be reminded about it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell to be notified every time a new video goes up.